Hey everybody, this is Charles Calhoun, aka the ShadeTree Pro. Hey listen, I want to give this little class on the body. And what I mean by the body, I'm talking about, you hear a lot of the biomechanists and many other people talk about the golf swing being from the ground up. And the data says that the golf swing is from the ground up in a sense. And of course, you all know that I've written a philosophy saying that the golf swing is from the top down. Well, here's this. See, I'm not arguing against what the data is saying, because the data, based on your understanding or trying to create that narrative that the swing is from the ground up, and you're measuring the things to show that it is from the ground up, because like I said, you can create any kind of measurement and then therefore, the data, to back what it is that you're saying. But that doesn't mean that that's the absolute way that it is or should be done. Now, one of the things that I have a problem with, and I've always had with, thinking of the golf swing being from the ground up, was simply because, like I said, I struggled with it forever until I developed, my top-down philosophy. Now, one of the things is about that I struggle with, the data or the information or whatever. Not, like I said, not saying that the data is wrong. I just struggle with what's being measured. Now, in that philosophy, because people think that the swing is from the ground up and they use the body, like the hips start the golf swing, what's really being measured, people, is this. From, as I call it, you see it, I call it the middle body and lower body. This is what's really being measured. And if you pay close attention to that, with the head, with the leg, all that, that's what's being measured. Because why I say that is because the shoulder girdle, these are the scapulas, this is the rear view. The shoulder girdles is a separate entity from the body cavity, only connected to the body cavity by the collarbones at the sternum. So it's kind of like, if I stood up or someone is standing there and I went over and pushed them, that would make them move. And that's kind of the same thing as when the scapula is up in the air, when it comes down, in essence, it causes the body to move. That's the concept of the top-down philosophy. Now, when I say that, and my understanding of that is because it's a separate entity from the body cavity, then it creates a whole different level of variables, in a sense, to be studied, to be understood, because you can't just say that, oh, it's from the ground up because the data says it. Well, you have to have all the information. And then when people want to argue me on that point, then it's very, very difficult for you to argue me on that point, because obviously it's to me that you don't know what the top-down philosophy is. You haven't really broken the body down, looking with what we want to say, with your glass, kind of empty in a sense of whatever, and to fill it up with information. You're already coming in with a belief, more so trying to prove something, and more so than trying to truly understand something. And trust me, I deal with that quite a bit. But the thing is, as I said before, if you remove look where I got that separated, because each scapula and arm or whatever, arm assembly is individual. If you remove the arms, and don't even think about the arms, and then you move all this body cavity and everything with the head, the body cavity, the legs, the lower body, you move all of that. Under no circumstances whatsoever are you swinging the golf club. The golf club is not being swung. Why? Because the arms in itself is not connected. So all the data that you can make from the head, the body cavity, which is the middle body and the lower body, all the data that you can make, in a sense, that's only talking about how the body is moving. It has absolutely nothing to do with how the golf club is being swung. Why? Because the only thing that swings the golf club is the shoulder girdle, because it holds the arm assembly and the hands, and it is superior to the pelvis girdle. And that's very, very important to know. And regardless, as I said, that's absolutely just non-negotiable. The golf club goes up in the air, it comes back down, and it goes back up. There is nothing else that can do that except the shoulder girdle. Now, when I take my little guy here, and I try to tell people, if I lift my arms up into the air and I turn my hips, I rock them back and forth, there's not a muscle in there that's going to make these arms fall down. But because the shoulder girdle in itself, or whatever, once again, a separate entity from the body cavity, when I take that club up in the air and I drop that club down, all of a sudden the whole entire body is going to react. So why is that also important? It's also important for this simple fact. The brain in itself, or whatever, can only really, as powerful it is, it only can do one simple task at a time. So if I sit up here and move my body cavity first, make actions with it, then my brain has to create the action and movements to make that work. And then all of a sudden my brain has to make another step to actually make the shoulder girdle work. Because why? Because as I said before, the body cavity, there's nothing, the muscles, there's nothing in this body cavity down here in the hips, lower body, all that, legs and all, that's making the arms function in the way that they should, to swing. And that's what makes the difference, because the moment that you swing the arms, then the brain has only got one simple thought: bring the club down for the task, and the entire body reacts to them. So that's why, as I said before, I'm just not making this stuff up, people. I've spent 32 years, putting research and understanding. And the thing is, as I said with me, I've come up with the information. I've developed the information. It's up to the science people or whatever to learn, if they choose to, learn what it is that I'm talking about. Maybe even ask me questions about my development, in a sense. That's the difference. Because one of the most important things that we have in this world is the ability to create knowledge. And that knowledge going forth in itself helps people. And it's obviously the information I'm doing, people are getting it. It is making a difference, from the books, from the education people on the top down. They are getting it. And I still think of whatever, that it's definitely one of the best ways to swing the golf club, because the focus is directly on what holds the golf club and what actually swings it. The hips do not swing the golf club, but the shoulder girdle does. And that's the biggest difference. I am getting right to the meat and potatoes of exactly where the cause and effect is coming from. So, so that's my tutorial on teaching and about the shoulder girdle in comparison to what's really being measured and where your data is coming from to make you feel or think that the golf club or the golf swing in itself is coming from the ground up. Well, actually, as I said before, as I conclude here, is that yes, you're measuring what the body cavity and the legs and all of that is doing. But that measurement does not include what is actually swinging the golf club. And that's the shoulder girdle, the upper body, and it's top down. Charles Calhoun, aka the ShadeTree Pro, always good golfing.